Guys, welcome to Android tutorials, and I'm Sandy from DURGASOFT, and today we are going to look about how a list view can be displayed. List view is one of the best component that you actually see in order to show the whole lot of big components that you want to see. I mean, when you had so many number of contents you have to show. For example, if you had so many contacts, so the best way to show you the whole number of contacts in one screen easily is that list view. So list view is something very peculiarly used when you want to show or when the contents are so many and you want to show it in a very little space. So the best way you can show them to the user or to the anyone who are using your app is by showing them that in a list view. So I just created a new project for this list view tutorial, and here you had a main activity, and now let me go to the layout first, which is named activity underscore main, and I'm now going to add a list view to that. Now let me kill this. I'm just putting a text view with simple text with list view tutorial, and of course list view is one word, but I made it two. And I'm getting a list view, so whenever I want to create any kind of component here, everything is pre-compiled, so whenever I start writing, it suggests me whatever I want. So it's showing me the list view, or if it doesn't show you the list view in your case, you just write capital L there, it shows you the list view and whatever starts with L, and select the list view. So when I'm trying to click it, now it's asking me whether the width of that list view should be wrap content or match parent. So whenever I'm saying that it's wrap match parent, that sense like whenever a list is present, it matches to the whole width of the phone or whole width of that particular screen. It's not as per a particular screen size, or it's not a particular tab size. When you set match parent, it will occupy the whole screen width. So that is the secret behind using the match parent. So when you set wrap content, which means that whenever you had a content, it doesn't occupy the whole screen width. Instead, it will take the width only of a size of that content. For example, if I write Android in the list item, so the width of that particular column or the particular row will be only how much that Android text takes. It is the only width that it takes. So but now here in our case, we are going to take it match parent, and also layout height should be match parent. So I'm not putting any kind of sizes to it here right now. And one of the most important thing I always for it is that it should have an ID, and I'm giving it an ID lists. Fine, and I'll use this same ID inside my main activity, and this is my main activity with extending app compatibility activity, app compat activity, and I'm creating a list view. And you can give it any name you want, and I'm giving it versions. So in order to get the suggestions or import that class, you can say Alt Enter or Control Shift O in case of Android Studio, and Control Shift O in case of Eclipse. So now I'm going to initialize my versions list here by ID. Find view by ID, and I'm saying r.id. list. So as I'm having only one layout, it will be getting the suggestions from there. And what's this error? And this is, don't worry about this, you simply select that and say Control Enter. It will suggest you cast to Android widget a list view, and do that. And now your list view is already it's having been initialized. Now you simply need to have an adapter. In this sense, if now the list view doesn't take the items directly. It needs some adapter in middle in order to render what are the items you want to render to it. So I'm using the default array adapter in order to render the items into the list view. So let me take array adapter, which is by default present, and it is of string type. String. Here application context, it will ask you to give these certain components. It'll ask you for a layout, so let's use some Android default layouts. Already written here. I'm pasting it here. Yep. And the layout, it actually array adapter will be taking 3 components inside it, or 3 parameters inside it. One is that get application context. You can write this as well. It doesn't make any difference. Not caps. And it will expect some kind of layout that you want to display. So Android r.layout.simple list item 1 is some layout that is by default present, which will have a simple text view. You can simply control and click on this one, and you can go there and you can check what it actually has. So it only had a text view, so we are using the default text view in order to show your particular contents inside it. So we need values, and whatever you're going to put in values will be given to Android id.text1. So where does this coming from? It's coming from the same layout where we seen the ID of this particular text view is text1. So whatever the values you give here, it will be taken and it will get initialized with, or will be rendered with this text item 1 for each row. So let's decide this items what to be. I'm gonna declare them. And let me increase the font a bit. There's a complaints on that. Okay. Okay, well, coming back, and now I'm going to initialize the values that were needed here, and I'm going to give some values to it. So it could be any string array, so let it be, as I told it, versions. Let me put some gingerbread, as you see the values, I'm going to give it here, and my adapter is ready now. What I did till now is I just created an adapter with the text view that I has to load it in the list view, and to the text view what the text I has to fit to it. So my values are ready and the text is ready. So now I has to set this adapter to this list view. So my list view name is version list, so I'm putting that here, and I'm setting an adapter to here. So you have to give the adapter name. Let me say that adapter, and give the same adapter name here. So that's it, you're good to go, and let's run it and see. And as we spoke about what are the devices that we present, so it's a device that is available with my system now, so I'm running it on there. So what actually is happening here is, meanwhile running, so version list is a list view that we actually created in the activity main, and we took the ID here and we are initializing it with the version list. So now what we did is we took an adapter, which is array adapter is a default array adapter, and we're giving it a layout, and this could be a customized layout too, but I had been using a default layout which is simple list view item, which looks good to see, and it had a text 1, and this text 1 is the text view which will get the values from here and will be rendering each value to each row for a list view. And let's see that. So if you see that, this is a list with whatever the values that we populated with. I think this thing is looking a little bit odd. Let me remove that there. I can simply give it padding of 5 dB. That should look good. Let me run that again. Let's run that again, check. And you don't need to always select that, check this checkbox below that, use same device for future launches, and it won't ask you that again. So that's how it looks. I mean, the list view that I listed up with a couple of items, you can put with any number of list views. You don't need to use only 1 or 3 or 5 items. You can put n number of items. And let me double the items here and show you and how the scroll effect and everything works. I'm copying the same items and increasing the items so that it could look big list view. And I'm running that again. increases the number of items in the list. So now you see the list view, and list view is by default having the scroll view, so you don't need to put that again another scroll for a list view. So there would be some kind of chances that you have to put a scroll view, and inside a scroll view has to put a list view. So there will always, the developer will end up, or the user will end up in the scroll effects. So the scroll will be either applying to the scroll view or it will be applying to the list view. So by default, list view will consist of a scroll view, so which means that you don't need to put a scroll view again for a list view. So it's always better that use a default item or a item that was provided by SDK in the same way, unless you had a different requirement or which needs to be changed. So you had a list of items. Now from here on, you can, if you want to select a particular item and do some action on that, we will see how we can do that. So for example, on the same list view, so I'm gonna write version list dot set on click listeners, set on item click listener. So when I write that, it immediately gives me this particular method on item click, which will be called on each item click. I had so many items here in this values which had got rendered into each row item. So when I click on each item, I can get the position, I can get the view on which I clicked it, and the ID of that. So I can do the respective action that has to be performed. So right now, let me write a toast message. And test message is nothing but it actually appears on the bottom of the screen, and it shades off in a couple of seconds. So now if you want position that you clicked on, so position you clicked is, you write the position, which is position is from taking it from here, and along with these two params I also has to put how long it has to be there. So I am putting it short, and always developers end up in this kind of confusion that they simply put the toast message in this way, and they say, I will complain that toast message is not actually showing up, but it shouldn't end up with like that, and you need to show that every time. Of course silly, but it counts. So let me run this again. When I'm gonna click on each item, the toast message will be showing up. So if I want to click each item like this, position you clicked on 0, so eclairs was the very first item, so it starts from 0, 1, 2, so on. So let me go to the bottom and click on marshmallow. So it clicked on 24. So altogether I had 25 items on my list. So I click on any of the item, I'm getting the position. So why does this position or this generally need? We actually would need it in the real-time environment, where you see it in other case, like if you want to do something on that particular position, or when you click on particular item you want to do one particular action, and when you click on another particular item you want to do another different action. So you could simply change that as per the position, or you can get the item name using the position as well. For example, I'm using the adapter dot get position, get item at the position. Right, so both side, or even get from here. You can also make it final and you can simply use it. So you tapped on. Now how this position works, you see that. Let's see that. So now if I'm gonna click on each of this item, I should be able to get on which item I actually clicked on. So you tapped on eclairs, and I clicked on, or I tapped on gingerbread, lollipop, and it gives you toast message on whatever click you click on. It gives you the respective message. So it depends upon on which thing you actually clicked on. So it doesn't matter how many taps you did or on which item you did. There's no limitation that you have to click in this many or that many. So you can click n number of items and get the position, and you can get the item name on that particular position too. So you can do the respective work done on that one. So you also had list view click listeners, and whatever the listeners you want to use, you can simply use set on item click listeners. So depending on these, it's always easy for you, and we see that you'll have different cases to be done with different inputs given. So it's always better you write a switch case instead of writing if else condition. So this way. So it's better always doing this instead of writing the if else, if this case, if that case, if that case, and if we may have n number of cases. So it always easy for you to use switch case instead of if else. So it will be very easy to person who actually does the code review, as well as for the person who makes the coding well. So in that way, and whatever the action you want to do here, you can do that here in between this space present between the case and the break, and you can write different conditions here depending upon the click. You can change it to the particular item, and that's how the list item demo goes on. Thank you guys.